Once upon a time, in a kingdom nestled between lush green hills, there lived a couple who had longed for a child for many years. The wife, Isabella, was pregnant at last, and her cravings led her to the enchanting garden that lay beyond the high stone walls of the neighboring witch's cottage. One day, Isabella spotted the most beautiful, vibrant, and mouth-watering Rapunzel plants growing in the witch's garden. She could think of nothing else but those luscious greens. Her desire for the Rapunzel leaves grew stronger every day. Isabella's husband, Marco, loved her dearly, and he couldn't bear to see her unhappy. So, one night, he gathered his courage and ventured into the witch's garden to steal some Rapunzel for his pregnant wife. A voice behind him sent shivers down his spine as he reached out to pluck the greens. The witch, named Magdalena, appeared before him.
"How dare you steal from my garden?"
she hissed. Marco, trembling, explained his wife's cravings and their desperate desire for a child. Magdalena, seeing the sincerity in his eyes, felt a glimmer of compassion.
"I will grant your request,"
Magdalena said,
"but in return, you must promise to give me your child when it is born."
Marco agreed, though he had no idea how heavy that promise would weigh on his heart. Months passed, and Isabella gave birth to a beautiful baby girl, with eyes as deep as the ocean and hair as golden as the sun. They named her Rapunzel, after the very plant that had led to her birth. As the years went by, Rapunzel grew into a kind and gentle young girl, her long hair flowing like a river of gold. Magdalena, true to her word, came to claim the child when she turned 12. Isabella wept bitter tears as she handed over her beloved daughter to the witch.
"Please promise me you'll take good care of her,"
she begged. Magdalena, who had come to care for Rapunzel in her peculiar way, agreed to provide for the girl and raised her as her own. Rapunzel knew nothing of her true parents and the world beyond the tower. Magdalena locked Rapunzel in a tall tower deep in the forest, with no doors or stairs, accessible only by the long hair that Rapunzel had grown to immense lengths over the years. To visit her, Magdalena would call,
"Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair!"
One day, as Rapunzel leaned out of her window, she saw a young prince passing by. He was entranced by her beauty and the sweet songs she sang. The prince vowed to find a way to reach her. Over time, Rapunzel and the prince grew close, and he devised a plan to rescue her. He asked her to weave a rope from her golden hair, and he would use it to climb up to the tower. Rapunzel agreed, and one night, as Magdalena visited, she let down the woven hair rope for the prince. He climbed up and whisked Rapunzel away to his kingdom. When Magdalena returned to the tower and found Rapunzel gone, her fury knew no bounds. She cast a curse that caused the prince to go blind, wandering the forest in despair. But love conquered all, and after many trials and tribulations, Rapunzel and the prince found their way back to each other. Rapunzel and the prince rode through the forest together, their hearts full of joy and love. They spoke excitedly about their dreams and plans for the future. "Rapunzel, my love," the prince said, "I will never let anything or anyone separate us again. We will be together always." Rapunzel smiled warmly at him.
"And I, my prince, will be by your side no matter what challenges lie ahead."
As they approached the prince's kingdom, the news of their return spread like wildfire. The entire kingdom rejoiced at their safe return, and the couple received a grand welcome. The prince's parents, the king and queen, embraced Rapunzel as their daughter.
"You have brought light back into our son's life,"
the queen said, tears of happiness in her eyes. Rapunzel was overwhelmed by the kindness and love she found in the prince's kingdom. She felt as though she had finally found her true home. In the days that followed, Rapunzel and the prince planned their wedding, a grand celebration that would unite their hearts and their kingdoms. The entire kingdom eagerly awaited the joyous occasion. Meanwhile, in her secluded cottage deep in the forest, Magdalena watched the events unfold through her magical crystal ball. She had been keeping a close eye on Rapunzel and the prince, and her heart had softened over the years. Magdalena knew she had to make amends for the pain she had caused. She whispered an incantation, and the curse that had blinded the prince began to unravel. He blinked in astonishment as his vision returned. As the wedding day approached, Magdalena brought a basket of Rapunzel plants as a peace offering. She approached the prince and Rapunzel with a humble heart.
I come to you with a gift,
She said, her voice filled with remorse.
These Rapunzel plants are a symbol of forgiveness and a token of my blessing for your union. May your love be as strong as the roots that bind these plants together.
Rapunzel and the prince looked at each other, then at Magdalena. Slowly they accepted the gift, recognizing the sincerity in the witch's eyes. The past was forgiven, and a new chapter in their lives began. The wedding day arrived, and it was a day of unparalleled joy and celebration. Rapunzel and the prince exchanged vows of love and devotion, surrounded by the people who had come to adore them. As the newlyweds shared their first dance, the kingdom's musicians played a sweet melody, and Rapunzel whispered to the prince,
This is the beginning of our happily ever after.
Magdalena, the once vindictive witch, blessed Rapunzel and the prince, and they lived happily ever after, ruling their kingdom with wisdom and compassion. Their story is a testament to the power of forgiveness and love, showing that even the most complicated destinies can be untangled.